Hi Leo, welcome to your December 2024 horoscope. Yes, you heard that right. It's the last month of the year. 2025 is just around the corner. And if you're already curious and would like a personalized reading for what to expect in 2024, I wanted to let you know that my books are open. I only have 5 spots available for the year ahead readings, so make sure you check out the link down below so that you can grab your own spot. We start off the month on December 1st with a new moon in the sign of Sagittarius, or your 5th house. You will be starting a new adventure when it comes to your dating or your self-expression, your creativity. You might especially be quite philosophical about those parts of life. If you want to find out more about this new moon, I did a dedicated new moon horoscope video. I'll leave it right here for you so that you can check it out. A couple of days later, on December 4th, we have the Sun square Saturn. On this day, you might be feeling a bit restricted because of that square from Saturn. And specifically, you might feel like these new adventures that you've wanted to start with your self-expression, with your creativity, are maybe facing a roadblock and you need to find a new way to work around them. Please be patient because this transit doesn't last very long. Honestly, the sun moves quite fast. So before you know it, it will feel like this roadblock is lifted and you can go ahead with this new, wonderful, inspired beginning with your creativity and self-expression. A couple of days later, on December 6th, we have Mars going retrograde. Mars is going retrograde in your 1st house, Leo. Especially if you have planets in the early degrees of Leo, you might be feeling this retrograde especially strong. Keep in mind that as Mars moves back, it will also travel back into Cancer or your 12th house as well. So until February of 2025, you will most likely face some frustrations or feeling as like things are just not moving. You're sort of stuck in motion. As a result, you might have a lot of sort of stop and go periods where you feel like, yes, let's go, let's do this thing, let's make this happen. But for one reason or another, you need to stop and you're not able to complete these actions fully. For you specifically, because this is happening in your 1st house, you might feel like it just encompasses everything that you do. And especially you might feel like anytime you try to set boundaries or you try to establish yourself as your own individual, somehow the actions fall short or you're not able to carry through with them. Because Mars will also retrograde back into your 12th house, you might also find that anything to do with your spirituality or your inner world is also having this feeling of trying to go somewhere, trying to get improved, trying to make things happen, but somehow things are just not going anywhere. Because this is happening, again, in your 1st house, Leo, I cannot emphasize this enough. You might be one of the few signs that gets very easily frustrated by this stop and go action. So please do be patient and kind with yourself. And remember that this is just for a season. Once February comes around, we should see some movement come through again. The next day, on December 7th, Venus enters the sign of Aquarius, and as it does that, it conjuncts Pluto. On that same day, we have an opposition between the Sun and Jupiter. So this might be a more challenging day because we have both of the good planets, Venus and Jupiter, in these challenging positions. For you specifically, Leo, because Jupiter is in your 11th house, you might feel like the opportunities for your future goals, these plans that you have, these ambitions of where you want to go, are just not coming through. Maybe you want to buy a house. You have this ambition that you're working towards, but all of the steps that you're trying on this path to getting there just don't seem to be working. You are not having opportunities come in from others that help you in this goal either. As a result, because of this lack of opportunity, this lack of movement, you are having to face your demons when it comes to your partnerships. You are having to perhaps face the uncomfortable feelings you have around what role does your partner play in this future ambition? Are there ways this partner is helping you or holding you back with those goals? The next day, on December 8th, Neptune goes direct in your 8th house. This means that you might be able to start getting dreamy and start falling in love, start falling back in love with your idea of what vulnerability and intimacy looks like. For a while Neptune was retrograde, you might have felt like the veil was lifted and all of a sudden you realize that you're a bit naive when it comes to being intimate and being vulnerable. But now that Neptune is going direct, you might start to feel this more romantic view on intimacy and vulnerability back again. Just a couple of days later, on December 12th, we have an opposition between Venus and Mars. For you, this opposition is happening in your angular houses, in your 1st and 7th house, Leo. So again, this could be one of the transits that you feel especially strong. What we're seeing with this opposition for you, Leo, is these two sides that feel at odds. The one side of you that wants to be a childlike energy, a childlike behavior, that wants to throw a tantrum and say, well, I don't want to share. I don't want to be considerate of others and think about them and have to put them ahead of me. I just want to do what I want to do. I want to be selfish. And then this other part of you that thinks, no, we need to be considerate. We need to be thoughtful. We need to be kind. We need to be understanding that partnerships are important and they're something that we do care about. So you might especially feel this pull on this day, Leo. Then we reach the midpoint of the month on December 15th. And on this day, we have a full moon in the sign of Gemini. A full moon means that you are reaching a crescendo or a peak when it comes to your future goals and ambitions. We see this house repeated a lot this month, Leo. This could mean that the hard work you've been putting into cultivating these goals, making sure they're aligned, truly aligned to what you want, you will start to reap some benefits. This works the other way, though, on a full moon. If you have been taking or being ambitious towards goals that aren't truly aligned to you, or maybe you've been slacking a bit on committing to any future plans, you will see the results and the consequences of that as well. All of that being said, I will post a dedicated full moon in Gemini video closer to December 15th. So if you want to make sure you catch that one, then make sure you click subscribe. A couple of days later, on December 20th, we have a trine between Venus and Jupiter. Venus is in your 7th house again, and Jupiter is in your 11th house. This could be a potentially very nice day where you feel a certain flow of energy. And that tension that you had just a couple of days ago between your partnership and the future goals could now start to flow and feel like they are being resolved. You might feel like your partner is enabling your future goals, helping you in some way, contributing to these goals, helping you get there faster. The next day, on December 21st, we have the sun entering the sign of Capricorn, or your 6th house. If you would like to feel energized, ready to jump out of bed from the 21st onwards, you need to be focusing on your health and your day-to-day routine. You might find that you are feeling energized when you work out, when you take care of your diet. So this would be a wonderful time to continue doing that. A couple of days later, on December 24th, we have a square between Jupiter and Saturn. And yes, this square has happened before, especially in these signs of Pisces and Gemini. And this is because the first time the square happened, they were moving direct. And now, of course, the planets have been retrograde. So we have that square happening again. For you, Leo, Saturn is in your 8th house and Jupiter is in your 11th house. So you could be seeing that your lack of intimacy, your lack of vulnerability is holding you back from achieving some of these future goals and ambitions. Perhaps you are lacking in that area. Perhaps you are maybe opening up too much to certain people that maybe you shouldn't trust. But overall, there's this need of figuring out and putting in the work when it comes to being intimate, vulnerable, showing the parts of you that you maybe think are ugly, because ultimately they are going to help you with getting the future goals that you have for yourself. Finally, we are almost there. We have 2 more transits in the month of December. On December 28th, we have Venus squaring Uranus. With Uranus in your 10th house, the last couple of years, you have been finding your unique path when it comes to your career. But on this day, you might find that that unique path is presenting some challenges to your relationship. Maybe taking too much time away that you could use cultivating your relationship. And finally, we close off the month on December 30th with a new moon in the sign of Capricorn. This is in your 6th house, Leo. So you are starting a new health and workout routine. And it couldn't get any more stereotypical, Leo, just in time for New Year's. But honestly, you might be feeling inspired and feeling like you have some new ideas of things that you want to implement in order to take better care of yourself. So, Leo, to summarize, in December, you definitely have a couple of houses that are constantly being brought up again and again. And therefore, you should feel like there are a couple of specific themes during the month that are really apparent and really obvious. So we talked about your 6th house, your health, the way you take care of yourself. Your partnerships are a huge one as well. You have a couple of things happening with your 7th and 8th house, being vulnerable with your partner. And then finally, we cannot forget your future plans and ambitions. You have a couple of things in the works, Leo, and these are going to be front and center in December. You want to know how you can move forward to make them happen. And it makes sense, a new year is upon us. So you might especially be reflecting on, okay, next year I want to achieve some of these goals. Thanks for joining me, Leo. I hope you enjoyed this horoscope. And don't forget to subscribe so that you can catch all of the upcoming full moon and new moon horoscopes for the month of December. And also, one more thing. Don't forget that I have my books open for the year ahead 2025 readings. So if you're curious about what you can expect in the upcoming year and you want a detailed reading from me, make sure you check out the link down below in the description box and in the comments. Thanks again, Leo, and I hope to see you again soon.